A new set of Star Trek movies are in the works at Paramount.
The X-Men movie has officially found its writer.
And new details on the Vision series for Disney+.
And of course, the box office. All on this week's episode
of... I didn't know you were going to go to me.
The Movie Nights Roundtable. What is up, Nicholas?
How are you, my friend?
Good. Having a nice holiday weekend so far?
It's nice. It's good to have a long weekend every now and again, which is all the nows.
Yeah, that's super fun. Guys, we have a pretty short news episode for you, but with the Knives Out 3 title being released, Nick and I thought it would be fun to fan cast Knives Out 3, which we'll do at the end of the episode right before the box office, so please stick around for that. But in the meantime, we got news stories to cover, so Nicholas, what do you got for us first?
Yes, our first story we are pulling from the Hollywood Reporter, but I want to clarify that the news was first broken on Puck.
Yes.
I believe was the name, but they have a paywall, so Hollywood Reporter it is. And that is that Simon Kinberg is in talks to produce a Star Trek movie franchise for Paramount.
Yes, and seemingly, it doesn't really mention it here, but it's seemingly different from the rumored fourth movie that allegedly they're still working on with the original Star Trek cast, which we talked about a few weeks ago. It seems to be almost like a rebooted version. It's a bit unclear in the actual thing. It could be related, but I'm going to go ahead and pull from the Hollywood Reporter now. The multi-hyphenate is in talks to produce a Star Trek feature for Paramount, the Hollywood Reporter has confirmed. If all goes well, the door would open him to taking active creative roles on the rest of the storied franchise film side. Alex Kurtzman and Akiva Goldsman are the main creative producers on the Star Trek television side. The project Kinberg would step into is already in very active development. Toby Haynes, who directed episodes of the Star Wars series Andor, and I believe he's directed some Doctor Who episodes as well, is on board to direct the new feature, with Seth Grahame-Smith writing the script. The project is said to be set decades before the events of the 2009 movie that was directed by J.J. Abrams, so it is part of it, but in a different timeline. Likely around modern times, it is said to involve the creation of Starfleet and humankind's first contact with alien life. That's very cool and very interesting.
I mean, the sentence of someone involved with Andor already intrigues me greatly.
100%. So I've seen a lot of interesting takes on this happening with Kinberg being the producer. One, just a lot of concern from people being like, yay, the person behind Dark Phoenix and the 355. But those were directing roles. I don't think he's going to be that much of an active director anymore. And I think people are kind of being a bit forgetful on the great things Simon Kinberg has helped produce and write, mainly the X-Men franchise where he got his start. Were there some fucking hiccups on the X-Men franchise? Yes. But we're still talking about the guy who was there for Days of Future Past, for the First Class, which I love, I know you don't like, but even there towards the beginning of that franchise, and I believe he was even still involved as a producer, at least on Logan as well. So he's been a great producer, and
he's helped shepherd a universe before,
yes,
too,
and I think that getting some fresh life in here might be a really great idea. Having it be connected loosely to the 09 Star Trek, I think, can be hit or miss, just depending on if the project's any good. But I'm looking forward to this, and just for backstory for everybody, I'm no huge Trekkie by any sense of the imagination, but I got introduced to Star Trek through the 2009 J.J. Abrams movie, and I dove back and I watched some of the original series, some of Next Generation. My goal, I've talked to Nicholas about this before, my goal is when I retire one day, I plan on watching the whole thing just to be caught up on that universe, because I think it is very intriguing. But as someone who's even more loose in the Star Trek world than me, what do you think about Simon Kinberg kind of stepping into this world and kind of helping produce feature films?
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I said, I literally have no engagement with Star Trek. I think the closest thing I have would be watching the Seth MacFarlane show, The Orville.
Okay. Which I think was supposed to be originally pitched as a Star Trek show.
Yeah. So that's about the biggest connection I can have to it. But I think Simon Kinberg has, his X-Men movies have been hit or miss. I'm kind of wishy-washy on the X-Men as a whole, typically. But I think when they work, they work. And I think shepherding a universe like that and working with IPs in an existing universe, I think seems to be a strong suit of his specifically. And I'll say it again, I think Andor is one of the best things Star Wars has done in a long time.
Yeah.
So I think when you already have someone who is directing episodes of that also involved in this, I think it's just a win for for that as well.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to back myself up here by doing a quick IMDb search. But when I said that Toby Haynes directed Doctor Who episodes, I'm pretty sure he directed one of my favorite one-offs in the Matt Smith era, and that was the episode The God Complex.
Oh, that was a good one.
Which is when they're stuck at the hotel. I love that episode. Oh, even better. In season 5, Matt Smith's first season, he directed the 2-part finale, The Pandorica Opens and The Big Bang. And then in season 6, dude, he also directed A Christmas Carol. And, okay, so he didn't direct God Complex. I was wrong about that. But he directed A Christmas Carol and the 2-part opener, The Impossible Astronaut, Day of the Moon. So, my dude's pretty talented. And he directed Andor.
He directed Sherlock, too.
Yeah.
One episode.
So, Andor, he directed episodes 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, and 10. He directed the One Way Out episode. And for Sherlock...
Oh, we're in good hands.
Yeah. And for Sherlock, he directed the season 2 finale. My dude's been quietly killing it on TV
and is like, you know what? I'm getting Star Trek.
Yes. So, and he's directed Black Mirror. Man, you Toby Haynes, good for you, man. You've been crushing it the past 20 years. He's been killing it. But yeah.
He directed one of the more famous ones, right? The USS Callister. Isn't that one of the famous Black Mirror ones?
Yeah. So, listen, great choice for the Star Trek movie, I think, because I know at one point Matt Shackman was going to do it before he hopped over to Fantastic Four. But yeah, listen, I'm okay with Simon Kinberg doing this. I think he's a talented producer, and I think stepping away, because what we're also not talking about with those X-Men movies, how they were hit or miss, was the shenanigans that studio was up to with that property at the time.
Oh, yeah.
So I think stepping away from that, being a part of this, is going to really help him creatively. But something that I want to bring up briefly before we move on is this isn't the only announcement that Paramount has put out. They've been putting out a lot of announcements, and I think it's because they want to seem more valuable for their sale, because they're about to be sold, and I think that they're just pumping out announcements.
Like, hey, we got Star Trek.
Hey, we're doing new Star Trek. Hey, we're doing this. Hey, we're Sonic 3. They're going nuts. So I just thought that was interesting to point out. But yeah, what do you guys think about Simon Kinberg being in talks to produce Star Trek movies and even being almost like the new Kevin Feige of the theatrical side, at least? Let us know as we move on to our next story. And Nicholas, what do you got for us next?
Our next story is an exclusive from The Hollywood Reporter, and that is that Adam Wingard is not returning for the Godzilla Kong sequel. I guess threequel, would that be at that point?
Yeah, I guess threequel.
The next Godzilla Kong movie.
The next chapter in the Monsters universe.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so I'm going to take this from The Hollywood Reporter. Wingard, who has directed the last 2 of Legendary's hit MonsterVerse movies, will not be returning for the 3rd installment, multiple sources tell The Hollywood Reporter. The parting of the ways is described as amicable and stemming from timing issues. The door remains open for a future return, per insiders. Wingard is coming off directing and co-writing Godzilla X Kong New Empire, which grossed over $564 million worldwide since its March 29th opening. Skipping a bit, talking about his other projects, he has an action thriller called Onslaught, which was picked up in a competitive sale by A24 for a fall shoot. He also has a ton of stuff going on. I know he's going to be doing the new Face Off reboot.
Fuck yeah, he is.
And a few other things. So basically, he's just got... Oh, and he was supposed to do Thundercats at one point as well. So basically, my dude's just booked and busy.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of stuff to do. And I think A24 will be an interesting return to form for him, because I know he really was getting big for making movies like The Guest and You're Next, like these really low-budget kind of thriller films. So I think he's excited, too, to kind of just go back. Because honestly... He's doing career correctly, meaning that he got his big blockbuster movie. He did a second one to prove he's not a fluke in regard to making money, because both did very well financially, and one being in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I think he's kind of proved the
Brought
point.
me back to theaters.
Yeah, it's kind of proved the point he needs to make, regardless of kind of the quality of those films. He's made the point of I can handle this. I'm going to go back to this, and then if I need to do another blockbuster, I can. And I good for him, honestly. I think, he's has a chance to really kind of go back to his roots, like I said, and make something truly great. What are your thoughts on Adam Wingard not returning, and do you think it'll ultimately be a good thing?
I mean, from what the article says, it's very amicable, so it's possible he could return down the line. And based on the last Godzilla Kong movie, it really seemed like he really more cared about a Kong movie.
Yeah, true.
So, maybe that's opening up something for just a Kong solo movie for him to return down the line. I'm very excited for the Face Off reboot, especially amidst the rumors that Cage and Travolta might be returning. An action thriller by A24, that's always a good sign.
Oh, yeah.
And... who would have thought of all the cinematic universes that have been shoved down our throats the last decade, and everyone trying to like, oh, everything's got to be a universe. Who would have thought the fucking MonsterVerse would have been the one to be like consistently like solid?
Yeah, and it's funny too because and credit to Adam Wingard, the visual and the part of the story of like the kind of underground Earth, I think is what really helped like the world building of that franchise.
Yeah.
Because, Godzilla's established that you can do movies like that, where he sleeps in the Coliseum, and you can do movies like Godzilla -1 on the Toho side, where then audiences will relatively come out for both.
Well, I just am curious if it's speaking to the type of movie or just the concept of Godzilla and Kong being such large IPs that they just naturally have this box office draw.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point.
But, I mean, when the movie's, like, I wouldn't say, like, his directing's anything, like, super duper crazy, but like it's solid. Like I don't think about the directing when I'm watching the movies.
Yeah, and
sometimes is a good thing.
And directing big movies like that is not an easy undertaking.
Not at all. So when it looks clean and smooth like that,
And let's also not forget that Godzilla X Kong was made for $135 million in a world where they're spending $300 million on blockbusters. So he's So he's also being fiscally pretty responsible for making these big IP films, and they don't look bad. The CG looks fine. Yeah. So he's clearly smart in that way, and I think that's shown for his career a lot. And I'm looking forward to kind of following him and seeing where that goes for him.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. So, what are your guys' thoughts on Adam Wingard kind of stepping away from the MonsterVerse for now? Do you think he'll come back? Do you think it'll help his career? Let us know in the comments as we move on to our next story. And Nicholas, what do you got for us next?
Our next story comes to us from Deadline. X-Men 97, I think, just wrapped up its first season on Disney Plus. To rave reviews and wonderful online discourse, and Marvel said, "Oh shit, people like the X-Men," so they are fast tracking this movie, and they have already hired a screenwriter in Michael Lesslie.
Yes, I'm going to pull from Deadline now. Following the success of its animated series X-Men 97, Marvel Studios is now ramping up things on its live-action movie with Hunger Games Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes scribe Michael Lesslie, who is in negotiations to pen the movie. The film is still in early development with no talent or director attached and no release date yet. Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige will produce. I would hope so.
Issue if he wasn't.
Yeah. As Deadline reported last fall, this project became one of the first major writing assignments to open up once the writer's strike had been resolved. Feige and his execs made it clear that there was no rush and have taken their time with meetings with numerous candidates since then. Late last week, the decision was made to go with Lesslie, and then the Deadline put in their thing, Lesslie was mentioned in the In Snyder newsletter as a finalist. So they were shouting out Jeff Snyder there. This is interesting. Clearly, like they had mentioned earlier, they weren't rushing finding a writer, but with how successful X-Men 97 has been, I think, you got to look for signs. And I think their sign is, all right, the audience really wants this.
Yeah.
Let's pick from the people we've interviewed. And I guess they just like Michael Leslie's pitch. It should be pointed out that Michael Lesslie also wrote the Assassin's Creed movie. But
I didn't see Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So.
I liked the film a lot. But something that I bring up all the time too, and there's exceptions to this rule, of course, is the screenwriter shouldn't be blamed for a movie turning out bad often, because there are several instances throughout Hollywood where you read a script and on paper you're like, damn, this script is good. And then you watch the translation and you're just like, who fucked this up?
What occurred?
What occurred here? So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, because I did think that Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was pretty strong. And I'm very curious what he could do with an X-Men movie. I'm curious what the MCU is going to do with an X-Men movie. And I wonder if Fantastic Four is almost like a test of like, we're going to set this in an alternate universe, not part of like the main MCU. Let's see how the audience reacts to it. And if they react well, let's do it with the X-Men. Because if you're going to do X-Men, to me, you have to do it in a world where people don't like mutants. Mm-hmm. And it's harder to not like mutants in a world where superheroes have existed for 20 years.
So do you
or even longer in their timeline.
Do you think that would lead up to like a Avengers versus X-Men type movie? And just because I feel like Fantastic Four is going to end up in the MCU. But do you think that the X-Men movie would also do that?
I don't know.
Do you think they might just keep X-Men separate?
They might. I think Secret Wars is going to do a lot of crossover, but I think it's going to do more crossover with the Fox X-Men.
Yeah.
Rather than the new ones. And I think that maybe...
I would be shocked if we get any X-Men before
Yeah, I would be shocked as
Secret
well.
Wars. I mean, obviously Deadpool is going to have a bunch of like nostalgic
New
cameos
X-Men.
and
Yeah,
new
yeah.
like here is your Charles, here's
Yeah.
your Cyclops, here's your
I don't anticipate that. But I've been shocked before. So, and watch, maybe this movie could take place in the MCU and there's just a great story reason as for what's happening. So, I'm interested. I'm curious. I love the X-Men. They're one of my favorite comics. They're one of my favorite, animated series from the 90s 1 to 97, which is great. Still haven't posted a review. I'm really sorry. I'm working on it.
Now, what? I know that the X-Men 97 already has a second season, right?
Yeah.
That they're
The second season's already
done.
Yeah, they're just like finishing out the finals.
So my question then would be
the animation.
right? The logic of you have this very successful X-Men show. Why not pull writers from that? I know TV and film are different mediums, but it seems like you have people who, based on these reviews, fully understand the X-Men characters, which seems to have been kind of consistently an issue throughout the live-action movies. So it's like, why not look into that pool?
You bring up a very good point. I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Okay.
A couple things. One, animation, different medium.
Okay.
And I think there are people who can crush animation.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that animation is an inferior
Are you
art
saying
form.
that from a writing standpoint?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think there are people who can crush writing for animated stuff that if you put them in a live action environment, it just doesn't translate the same. It's almost like a book to a script.
Okay.
It's similar in that medium. You also have the Beau DeMaio of it all, who was suddenly fired and has not been explained why he was fired, which makes me think something went down. Because if you wanted him to write stuff, they would have used him because he wrote one of the previous drafts of Blade before they scrapped it for a new story. So they did intend on using him for stuff.
Yeah.
But something occurred where he was fired. I'm very, very curious to figure out what the hell that was. One day we'll get it.
Yeah.
But essentially, I think it's a mix of that. It's, one, their showrunner, they have no interest in working with again. And two, the mediums are different. And the writing of that show also had an entire 90s show to build as its backbone to go off of. Whereas you're starting something kind of brand new. Not saying that they wouldn't be capable, but it is a different assignment, And I also think that, just in case they heard a pitch they weren't considering that they found interesting they wanted to go with, which is why I think Michael Lesslie is an interesting choice. So that's my devil's advocate answer. But if you told me if you told me tomorrow that people from X-Men 97 were writing the new movie, I would be excited. I'd be like, great. I just think it's not as simple as an issue as it seems. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a hard thing too when you have a 2-hour movie and you could build character arcs over 6 hours as opposed to that. And it probably gets rid of any sort of preconceived notions. Like if you have someone that, for example, has been writing Wolverine on X-Men 97, and now they're tasked with a live-action Wolverine that's fundamentally different.
Yeah.
Is it going to end up being kind of the same based off of that?
Yeah. And look,
Yeah.
a great writer knows how to differentiate, and there are great writers on the show. I just think that depending on the assignment, it can be a very different challenge and different prospect altogether.
Yeah, because I guess now they're going to be forced to play within a specific sandbox of the MCU.
And also to consider, you're pulling writers from 97 to write the movie. Guess what they're not writing? 97. So does that show become worse? So, you have a bunch of things to consider.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's priority, I guess, at that point.
Yeah.
It's just, I know the X-Men is something that Marvel needs to take careful consideration into doing.
Yeah.
So it just seems like you would hire the people that you already have a guarantee know what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it's an interesting question, and I think it's more complex than people realize.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear from the comments. What do you guys think about that conversation? Do you think it's a simple answer? Do you think it's more complex? Let us know, please. And with that, I'm going to move on to our final news story of the day before we move on to our fan casting and then the box office. And Nicholas, what do you got for us next?
Our next story comes to us from Variety, and another exclusive. It was a week of exclusives. Marvel has set its Vision series for 2026, with Paul Bettany set to return and Star Trek Picard executive producer as the showrunner.
Yes, so this comes off the heels of a while ago them announcing that there was going to be like a Vision Quest, was like the name of the show. I don't think that is still happening. I think whatever that show was is now becoming this show. At least that's what it seems like from the article. So I'm going to pull from Variety now. Marvel has tapped Star Trek Picard executive producer Terry Matalas to resurrect Vision, the synthezoid played by Paul Bettany, for a new, untitled Disney Plus series for 2026. Variety has learned exclusively. Bettany will return to the role, and Matalas will serve as the showrunner. Skipping ahead here. Marvel brought in Matalas after his work running on Season 3 of Star Trek Picard, which brought back the cast of Star Trek The Next Generation to widespread acclaim, garnering Matalas a WGA Award nomination for the 2023 series finale, which greatly impressed top brass at the studio, notably Kevin Feige, who is an avowed Trekkie, it should be noted. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that Kevin Feige went to Star Trek to get somebody, because he says all the time he's a huge Star Trek fan. And from people, my friends in the Star Trek circles, some who loved the first 2 seasons of Picard, some who didn't like the first 2 seasons of Picard, they all loved the 3rd season of Picard, which Terry Matalas was the showrunner of.
Okay.
So this does not shock me. And I actually think it's interesting because with Marvel's recent kind of change in how they're developing TV, I think it's interesting that this has to have been a good pitch for them to go with this. Because Bob Iger and a ton of people at Disney and Marvel have said, like, we're only going to make stuff that, like, is important to us, that we think can be really successful. We're not just going to kind of hand out spinoffs anymore.
Yeah.
And so this fascinates me, that this is one that's being heavily considered. And recently they've said they're going to not keep them out of the same universe, but kind of separate Marvel movies and TV so you don't have to, it doesn't feel like homework. And what do you think about this whole thing, and do you look forward to this Vision show?
I would be interested if this is a project that turns into a movie.
Ooh,
kind of
yeah.
Similar with Armor Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I've always found Vision to be a very interesting character, and one that I feel like they've sort of untapped a lot of times. He just sort of shows up, and then when everything's scaled up, they realized he was really too powerful, so he sort of took a sidestep. But I thought he was great in WandaVision, and I mean, the whole show was fantastic. But the whole sort of idea of there being another Vision out there, it'd be an interesting concept to follow for sure. And from what I've heard about, like, Star Trek Picard, specifically the 3rd season, it is very sort of introspective, philosophical in its nature. I could be wrong. This is just rumblings.
I mean, that's Star Trek in general.
Yeah, exactly. So I think having a character like Vision paired with that just makes sense, because I don't think you can really just have a big CGI fest Vision fight. I think where the character really shines is in those moments, such as when the 2 Visions are fighting in WandaVision, and then they end it by just having a ship of Theseus conversation. I think that's where moments of Vision really, really work. So I think that it's a great pairing. And again, like you said, I think that there's a lot of projects in the backfill, like Ironheart is still happening, Agatha All Along.
That comes out this year.
I think that was during the time of, like, spin-off. So I think this is sort of the first wave of, like, all right, we're going to take our time and we're going to choose the projects that matter. And I think that Vision's a great choice for that.
Yeah. And I feel bad for the Daredevil show, because it happened, like, right in the middle of Daredevil.
Yeah.
But I think that the changes to Daredevil are going to do good things for it, just from hearing from Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio being like, these changes are much better.
Yeah.
Like, they're not trying to be shitty to, like, the other people, but they're just like, we're a fan of what's
Happy
happening
to
now.
see. Yeah.
Quick side tangent. I want to bring up Brad Winderbaum, who has been the leader of the television and streaming and animation for that division of Marvel Studios. Because Marvel has now split off from Marvel Studios to Marvel Animation and Marvel Television. Marvel Television lives, baby. The old one that they killed. But Winderbaum is overseeing that. And with Winderbaum, this is the first Marvel exec, as a fan, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, that I've looked at with both in interviews and with quality of work, where I'm like, this is someone that Kevin Feige can actually trust to run something. Because Kevin Feige's been spread so fucking thin, which has been a big problem with a lot of the projects not doing well.
Yeah.
But with Brad Winderbaum, I finally see, like, if Kevin Feige just said,
I'm done,
this is, I think, a worthy successor to him.
Okay.
But not only that, I think he is somebody who can actually be trusted on their own. Because we know that there was someone who was overseeing Blade, and they fired their ass because of how poorly they handled that. But Winderbaum is doing very well with what he's been given and what he's been doing. And I think, I could be wrong about this, please correct me, internet. I think it was him who kind of helped Kevin Feige be like, we should make these Netflix shows canon. Because like he was the one who was really kind of upfront with that and was like, if you really want to bring this audience in and tell a great story, and it can be part of the MCU, but it's not homework, this is how you do it. And I think he's really smart. If you haven't watched interviews with Brad Winderbaum, I highly
But has he
recommend
been around
looking
for Year in
up.
the Bad? Is that
I think he came in during it.
Okay, and he's sort of stepping up now.
Yes. Yes.
All right, I came in or was a part of this whole, and I'm going to dig us out of it.
Because I know one of his early projects was X-Men 97.
Okay.
Like, that was one of...
So he's newer.
Yeah, but they've been working on X-Men 97 for years.
Oh, gotcha.
But that was one of his first, like, hey, what should we do? We should bring back this 90s show. And then Feige being like, all right, get the theme song, get the actors back, we can do it. And then that was kind of it.
Yeah.
And then you also have, I'm pretty sure, and again, please correct me, I'm pretty sure Echo being rated R was him.
Oh.
Being like, hey, I think this story kind of requires this, but we can do Marvel Spotlight, where, like, you know, if you're uncomfortable, you know, he's kind of doing a lot of things that have been allowing Kevin Feige to feel more at ease.
Because what else just got announced to be Spotlight? Something did.
Wonder Man.
Wonder Man, yeah. And so is the concept of Spotlight that it's going to be their darker, kind of heavier projects, or is it the concept like you don't need to watch anything else? You don't
need to watch anything else.
Okay.
I think that's the
vibe.
overall vibe of it. Yeah. So and to me, you can tell a lot about a person's intelligence by watching how they conduct PR and interviews. Which is why I've always said, like, Kevin Feige is a very smart guy because he is the master of PR. I've never seen someone better at PR than that guy. And Brad Winderbaum is a close second. Like, conducts himself very well in these interviews. And you can just tell he actually has a passion for the source material and for the stories he's helping create. So, big Brad Winderbaum fan over here.
So he's been shepherding sort of the Disney Plus side of things.
Yes.
Okay.
To help kind of it be more cohesive.
Moon Knight Season 2.
Please get on that.
And just redo Secret Invasion.
Oh my God.
I'll wipe it from my memory if you just want to say, hey, new show.
Secret Invasion is the only thing I would legitimately be okay with them being like,
that didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Even She-Hulk. I don't think you should erase She-Hulk. Was it a great show? No. But there was enough good things in it and good ideas sprung from it that I'm like, okay.
The yellow Daredevil suit.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Just for that.
I mean, and the Daredevil bits were great.
Yeah.
But I thought Tatiana Maslany was excellent on that show.
Yeah.
I thought everything they did with Wong was great on that show. And I even think the overall idea of that show is good. And I think if you got a new creative team to do a second season, they won't because it was way too expensive. But it could work.
Plus the Kevin Feige robot.
Yes. Yes. I think the only thing you got to get rid of from She-Hulk is Hulk's son. I think that's the only thing you got to get rid of. But everything
Forgot about that.
But like everything else to me was like, okay, this didn't quite work fully, but it can. And I think it was a decent it
was a big creative swing that actually genuinely felt like Marvel trying to do something different.
Yeah.
And so I just more applaud that effort.
Yeah.
Because, every Marvel project is like, oh, this could be different. It's going to be darker. And then you watch it and you're like,
and Secret Invasion, you know what that felt like?
What is it, though?
It felt like Marvel playing it safe and just failing at playing it safe.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And you have big stake things happening in it, like certain character deaths, that now I'm like, well, I'm just mad that they died on this shitty-ass show.
They killed Ben Mendelsohn's Skrull, and no one knows.
Yeah. It's like...
And he would have ate as the King Skrull in the Marvels.
And they killed...
Toby Smulders. Maria Hill. Yeah.
Yeah, spoilers for Secret Invasion. Sorry.
Yeah, how do you kill someone literally from the first Avengers movie?
Yeah.
Shitty.
Shitty indeed. Anyway, we got off track.
Don't bring up Secret Invasion. I know I brought it up, but clearly it's a trigger for me.
Yes. So now we're going to move on to a really fun part of the show, guys. We're going to move on to our fan castings of Knives Out 3, and this is in honor of the title being released as Wake Up Dead Man, which... what a title. I'm a fan. And I love that each title's been a reference to, like, songs and music.
Well, what's also interesting is, and it could change, but they have it, like, it doesn't have it was Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery.
I think it's Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think in the video that Ryan Johnson posted, it had it,
it had it? Oh,
bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just remember Glass Onion having it, like, everywhere.
What I'm curious about, are they going to do it theatrically? Or are they going to really just fucking piss Ryan Johnson off again? Dude.
Well, clearly they're starting production, which means I feel like casting is inevitable.
Yeah, or it's probably done. We're just waiting for the announcement.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Like the casting,
casting's
probably been locked for months at this point.
Yeah.
It's just the actual announcement. I feel like they're probably going to be filming publicly, so it's going to be like a we got to get this out to people. But that's always, it's sort of like the murder mystery cast is always such a fascinating ensemble. When even like the Kenneth Branagh movies, you're like, all right, who's he got this time? Same thing with what's the really popular show, White Lotus. That's always where are they going to film it and who's going to be in it, because they get a wide range of stars with it. So everyone loves a good murder mystery ensemble.
So, fan casting Knives Out 3.
Yes. Now, when you were doing your fan cast, did you do it as sort of, I think this would be an ensemble that would all work together, or more of just like I think these actors and Rian Johnson would work well in a Knives Out movie?
The second one.
Same here. Do you want to go tit for tat, or do you want to go all at once?
Let's go tit for tat.
Tit for tat?
You have one more cast member than I do, so you go first.
I do. Okay. Pull up my notes. All right. First one coming out the gate strong. Because also a lot of this too is, I know that Rian Johnson loves to use TV people who really got like a star on TV and bringing him up into that. And one person who has had his sort of theatrical moments here and there, but man, he has consistently crushed television. And that is my man, Walton Goggins.
There you go.
I would love to see him join that. The one, I think he's a fantastic actor, but I think he thrives in an ensemble. He's tried to lead a few projects to some sort of mixed avail, but when you throw him in like a Righteous Gemstones, when he's working with an ensemble and has people to bounce off of, I think he really shines. And I think this could be a great way to like really solidify him. Not that he needs any solidification, because his TV career's immaculate.
Yes. I also pick a lot of TV people, but that's not my first choice. Yeah. My first choice is actually a returning cast member, and this is the only returning one I have, I promise. And the reason why I'm doing a returning cast member, and I'm even going to say they should play the same character, is because this person, when Knives Out was shot, was just starting to rise to fandom, and by the time Knives Out came out, that had already kickstarted. So it was almost like if only it had been like a couple years later, he could have played like a bigger role, and that's Lakeith Stanfield. I think if you bring back Lakeith Stanfield and you also have him be a cop, for some reason I think it'd be funny if he's like on this vacation, like I'm picturing like Glass Onion, it could be nothing like that.
Yeah.
But if he's like on this vacation and he's away from work and then something happens and he's like, God damn it, like I have to help Benoit Blanc again and do all this. Like I find that humorous. And I also just think that Lakeith Stanfield's one of the best actors working today. And it would just be really fun to see that happen again, because we haven't really had, other than Benoit Blanc, we haven't really had a full returning character. So I think it'd be fun to see that in one of these mysteries.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And he's a great actor too. Yeah. I think he also was like, he tried in Haunted Mansion too, which I fucking loved. Yeah. Like I was like, all right, man, get your bag. Hell yeah. Next one, I have another one, TV, but has really taken claim, was in his movies, has literally just been nominated for an Academy Award, and that is Sterling K. Brown. I think that he sort of brings this level of gravitas, and really just whenever he's on screen, you are just sort of captured by his performance, even down to little things like his episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine that he's on.
Dude, amazing.
Is one of their best
episode.
Episodes.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's literally him and Andy Samberg in a jail cell together. Obviously Predator, naturally.
Yes, of course.
But I mean, American Fiction, like he can do the drama. I think even in American Fiction, he was really humorous too. Yeah. I think he has that sort of just presence that I think would work with Knives Out.
Yeah, I agree. And for my next cast member, something else that I think you need in Knives Out is you need someone who could be a red herring. You need someone who is just a little bit off, who can play someone a little bit off, but also can be very dramatic and endearing if you need. So for me, the next perfect cast member is David Dastmalchian. Ooh. I love David Dastmalchian. He's an amazing, creepy side character in everything he plays, and he killed it in Late Night with the Devil as a lead. I thought he did an excellent job in that movie. And I think pairing him and Rian Johnson in this cast would be such an interesting dynamic, because you would have somebody who, whenever someone dies, they're immediately looking at David Dastmalchian like, all right, how are you involved in this?
Like, you're a little freak, aren't you? What do you got going on?
So I think kind of putting him in that ensemble would be really interesting and fun. So my next choice is David Dastmalchian.
All right. My next two choices, but I'll do one for now. Actually, I'll just knock them both out
Yeah,
since
knock
I
'em
have
out.
one more than you.
Yeah.
I think that also part of the Knives Out, right? It's finding these sort of younger talents too, and really putting a light on them. And one person who's been everywhere lately is Ayo Edebiri.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's a phenomenal actress, a phenomenal writer. I think that her serious scenes on The Bear are fantastic. I think her humor in things like Bottoms and everything, she's hysterical. Even her letterbox reviews, a proud Irish girl too. Um, and I think that her sort of level of quirkiness and zaniness can work in a Knives Out setting. And pairing that also with another younger up and comer. I'm saying younger. I really don't know how old these people are. But Josh O'Connor coming off of Challengers, I feel like he's been sort of sporadically here or there, but I think coming off of the success and the internet sort of claiming of him and Mike Faced,
Yep.
I could see Knives Out being a way to get him into another thing that a bunch of people are going to see and really sort of skyrocketing. But that all comes down to talent agencies at the end of the day.
That's true.
But I think that he was great, and he was very they were all manipulative in Challengers, but man, he was he played it so well.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that would just work in a murder mystery type setting.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And
same thing with Ayo Edebiri, just being that sort of fun sort of comedic relief character, I think would be great.
no, I agree. And I have a few TV choices as well, and this is my first one. I think Tatiana Maslany would do wonders in a Knives Out movie. And it's partially because she's great at everything. Orphan Black, she literally played how many characters? Like dozens. And it's
distinct and
each
unique,
distinct, unique, and felt genuine. You believed every word out of her mouth. So to me, you also have somebody who, if you were going to set in this mystery, because part of the mystery of these movies is anyone could have done it. And you have the David S. Malchin creepy that I mentioned, and now you have someone who could just lie to your face, and you don't know if they're telling the truth. And I think Tatiana Maslany is perfect for that type of role. And, if you can do Orphan Black and She-Hulk and a ton of other stuff, and, you're an amazing actor. And I think that her dynamic would be perfect for these type of movies. So
definitely.
My next choice is Tatiana Maslany.
All right. My next choice is... with these movies, someone needs to die or someone needs to be super old and just sort of crotchety and angry off in the corner doing whatever, right?
Yeah.
These are the murder mystery character tropes, right? Not that one that Rian Johnson's one to play into tropes. Typically, he likes to subvert them a lot. But someone who's no stranger to an ensemble and no stranger to being a crotchety old man, either the one who dies or the one who's doing that, would be Bill Murray.
Yes.
Because, man, that... I feel like I don't need to explain that one more.
Well, if he shows up.
If he shows up. If they can get him.
Yes. I'll go crotchety old man for crotchety old man. Even though I don't, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of reasons why I'm picking this choice. My choice is Mark Hamill, and there are a couple of reasons why. One, it'd be amazing to see another press tour with Rian Johnson and Mark Hamill. Yeah. Two, it would be so fucking funny if he casted Mark Hamill and then killed him again. It would be so good.
I know Mark Hamill has a lot of sort of thoughts on The Last Jedi.
Sure.
Were any of them sort of directed at Rian Johnson? Or do you think they have a good working relationship that's something that they would
I think both.
Develop, yeah.
I think both. I mean, I think obviously it's not something that it's not a story Mark Hamill would have told.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, Mark Hamill contributed and did a great job in telling that story.
Sort of a situation like, you're the actor.
Yeah.
You signed on. This is what it is, and this is what the studio has selected as the story.
And I think on a personable level, I don't think there's any ill will towards Rian Johnson at all. And so I think it'd be fun if Mark Hamill came and did it again. So Mark Hamill is my next choice.
Gotcha. My next choice, kind of going back into your, there needs to be sort of a manipulator, someone who's really puppet mastering everything, and that's Viola Davis. And that's not even to say that she's the one who did anything, but if you have Viola Davis whispering in your ear, anything, I'm gonna believe her, and I'm gonna be intimidated by her as well. She's so good at just getting into people's heads that I think that she would just shine. Absolutely. And she's also not one to shy away from being a quirky, zany character.
That's true.
Not that the Rian Johnson characters are sort of out there, but I think they do have this sort of blend of this isn't necessarily a person I would buy as being a real person.
Yeah.
And I think that she would work with that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And for my next choice, I'm also going back to TV. And that's, it may seem like an odd choice, but I thought about it and then I was like, yes, this is it. And that's Victoria Pedretti. She got her really big bump from The Haunting of Hill House, which, if you've never watched Haunting of Hill House, Nicholas, she is phenomenal in this series. She's unbelievable. And she, I think, can be the someone who is like the Toni Collette character from the first movie, where it's someone who's just overly emotional, over out there, but at the end of the day, you need a great performer to pull off that role, because if you put an amateur in there, it's just going to seem cringy and fake and not work. And I think Victoria Pedretti has done the serious drama, has done a lot of, that type of role, and I think this role would be a good showcase for her abilities and be like, no, I can play this character. And I think she would be really interesting in that role as well. So I'm going to go Victoria Pedretti as well.
All right. My next one is just a fun one for me, because I just liked when he pops up in things, and that's Vince Vaughn. And the reason I selected Vince Vaughn is, one, he had a pretty stable run on the last few seasons of Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I really feel like he hasn't been much in the spotlight lately, in terms of just like movies starring and everything like that. And I think just having someone like him who has this screen presence that is also just going to keep riffing and talking everyone's ear off, I feel like that just would add an interesting dynamic to the Knives Out thing. Like, I could see him just sort of disseminating rumors throughout, or I don't know, just his presence, I think, would add a lot of comedic relief, and also just, yeah. No,
it's a great choice. It's an amazing choice, actually. For me, my next choice is going to be Sofia Vergara.
Okay.
And part of it is, I think that she can be very deceptively funny, and that, obviously she has the stereotype of like this just beautiful like Latino woman, but Modern Family, I think, proves like she's hilarious. And I think in this time of like death and murder, and like with Rian Johnson's movies having that comedic edge, I think she could be the secret standout of like the one who doesn't take it seriously when it should be taken seriously, and then takes it too seriously when it shouldn't be taken seriously. And she can kind of be that odd coin that I think really kind of is the missing puzzle piece of the cast in the movie. So I think Sofia Vergara would do a great job within this ensemble as well.
I know she just got a lot of praise for her Netflix show too.
Yeah,
that was a more dramatic turn for her, I think. So
Yeah.
I think that would fit right in. My last choice, just some more young blood there, and that's McKenna Grace. Who I think
great choice
has, she showed up as the younger version of a lot of characters in a lot of different movies.
Yeah.
But her real breakout was really the starring part of Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest gripes with Frozen Empire is I felt like her character was sort of sidestepped a bit for more of the ensemble.
And she's the best one of the new ones, I think.
And I think that having her in an ensemble is always great, and I think she's a really big up-and-coming talent. And I think that this would be a great sort of push forward as well to show, Ghostbusters are Ghostbusters. But I think having something as dynamic as a Knives Out movie would really get to showcase her range a lot more.
Listen, I agree.
Now, had this been like 5 to 10 years ago, I would have said Angourie Rice coming off of The Nice Guys.
True,
but
true.
Now we have McKenna Grace.
Yeah, no, 100%. And this is my last person, my final choice. I'm going to go with Coleman Domingo.
Oh, hell yeah.
One, what a fucking great actor he is. But two, I think my favorite dynamic in these movies is just someone who's just toe-to-toe with Benoit Blanc. Like, hey, fuck you. I love that character in each movie. And I think Coleman Domingo would play that part perfectly. Like, no one could do that better, in my opinion, than someone kind of being the skeptic than Coleman Domingo, because that also adds another layer of, could this person be responsible for the murder? And again, with just his acting talents, and I think it's a match made in heaven. Love Coleman Domingo. Think he would do great in this role.
Honestly, the entire cast of Drive Away Dolls, I think, would just make a great.
Yes.
Matt Damon, Pedro Pascal, Coleman Domingo, Margaret Qualley,
Yes.
Geraldine Viswanathan.
Nice pronunciation.
I think I got that.
Yeah. Nice job.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, I think. Did you have any more?
No, because I lumped.
Right, you did two together.
Yeah.
Right. So those are our fan casts for Knives Out 3, or a potential Knives Out movie. I think that'd be fun. What are your fan casts? I'd love to see you in the comments below and kind of see people you throw out to think would do well in these movies.
Think there's a chance any of us, like either of us, got one of them.
Well, we listed a lot of people.
We got, what, 16?
Yeah.
17?
So there's a small chance.
15. Yeah.
But we'll see. We shall see. We shall see what happens. But with that down, guys, it's, of course, now time to move on to the box office!
The box office.
I should point out, there are a couple things different about the box office this time. One, this is a holiday weekend, and you're watching this after the holiday. This, what we're about to say, is not only not the final Monday numbers, it's not even the final holiday 4-day weekend numbers. These are the estimates of the 3-day weekend of the holiday. Now, in those estimates, in the description below, we're going to not only put the final Monday numbers, we're also going to put the final holiday 4-day weekend numbers. So you'll see two sets of box office in the description with both.
Will both get released on tomorrow?
By Tuesday.
By Tuesday, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, wait, actually, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You'll get the final 3-day weekend numbers in the description below, and then as the show airs throughout the week, we'll do an edit and we'll update them. I really hope I fucking remember to do that. But anyway, can you pull up our predictions from last week?
Yes. Dalton, you had Furiosa coming in at number 1. I had Garfield number 2. No, sorry, you had Garfield number 2. You had If number 3, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes number 4, and Strangers number 5. I had the same list except for number 5, so Furiosa, Garfield, If, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and then I had Fall Guy coming in 5th instead of the Strangers.
Right. Deadline is coming in clutch, and they're giving us 3-day and 4-day estimates.
Hell yeah.
So I'm going to give both.
All right.
And we're going to use the numbers website as well. We're hopping back and forth, baby. Here we go. So, both Deadline and the numbers say that in the 3-day weekend, Furiosa opened number 1 at 25. Not good.
Money loser.
And I fucking love that film, so that hurts me.
It's coming out with a B- cinema score. B+ cinema score, sorry.
But still not great.
Yeah.
The 4-day is estimated to be in between 31 and 33, so it's not that much better. Per Deadline, coming in second on the 3-day weekend is Garfield, 8 million.
Oh.
Which is much lower than I anticipated Garfield opening.
So no one went to the movies this weekend.
Yeah. Worst Memorial Day weekend in decades.
Yeah.
And the 4-day weekend is projected to be between 24 and 26. If, coming in third, which is estimated in the 3-day to make 16 million, and in the 4-day, 20.
Wait, how would that be third? If Garfield had 8?
I think because Garfield, the 4-day is going to be higher. Oh, wait, no. Holy fuck. I read Garfield wrong. I read Garfield so wrong. No. Friday it made 8. The 3-day is 24 to 26, so it could even open over Furiosa in the 3-day opening. That's possible.
Okay.
The 4-day is the same, the 31 to 33. Sorry about that. So you have Furiosa 25, Garfield 24 to 26.
Damn.
If and 16. Then If 16. Thank you for pointing that out. What a mess. Sorry about that, guys.
No, it was like the numbers weren't numbering.
Yeah, and then in the 4-day, it'll be 20 for If. That's a 52% drop, which is pretty standard.
They're all pretty close.
Yeah. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes came in 4th.
Okay.
Making another 13 million, dropping 48% from that weekend. And it looks like its 4-day is going to be about 15.9.
A modest box office week then.
Pretty modest.
Yeah.
Coming in 5th. What did you have?
Fall Guy.
The Fall Guy. Making 7.3 million, and in the 4-day, 73.5.
You know what's going to happen, right? Garfield's going to pass Furiosa, and I'm going to be wrong.
Yep, that's exactly what's going to happen.
That's exactly what's going to happen. But tentatively, as of now, I got them all right.
And The Strangers was going to open in 6th with 5.6, so it has no chance of catching up number 5. So there's a chance you're all right. But if Garfield goes over...
There's a chance.
Telling you there's a chance, buddy.
It's about time.
Yeah, it is about time. So, yes, I'm going to go ahead and do it one more time because I fucked it up. right now, the estimates for the 3-day weekend are Furiosa at 25, Garfield at 24, If at 16, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes at 12, and Fall Guy at 7.
All right. What do we have coming out this week?
Nothing huge. I know Young Woman in the Sea comes out.
Yeah, I don't think we have tickets for anything yet.
No, because I may... Now's a good time to announce this. Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
Our short film Quiver is fucking finished. After shooting it 2 years ago. It is done, baby. And I'm very happy with it. And so on Thursday, I might book Quiver at the house.
I'm not going to be.
We'll see. But yeah, no, it'll be, when I say we'll see, I mean, like, I don't even know if that's what I'm doing. But yeah, we'll get that all figured out. Yeah, no, it'll be fun. I'm very excited about Quiver being finished. You'll see a lot more on the channel, like, as we get more stuff out. The trailer should be out relatively soon, if not this week, then the following week. So it's exciting. We're moving forward on everything. But yeah, let me pull up what's actually coming out next week. So the only big releases I see are Young Woman in the Sea, and In a Violent Nature goes relatively wide, but it doesn't go like fully wide. And you also have, what's Ezra? What is that? Summer Camp? I don't know what that is.
The person who played the Flash.
No. Yeah, I think Young Woman in the Sea is the only relatively big one.
All right. Well, I went first last week, so you get to go first this week.
Man, fuck you. I'm going to let my heart take this one over. I'm going to go Furiosa number 1 again, because it has to. If we want another Mad Max movie, it has to. I'll go Garfield number 2. Young Woman in the Sea number 3. If number 4, Apes number 5.
Well, fuck, that's what I was thinking. So I'm going to go Furiosa. I'm going to go Garfield. I'm going to go If. I'm going to go Woman in the Sea.
Okay.
And I'm going to go Apes.
All right, switching it up in the middle there.
Yep.
Okay, I like it.
Picasso.
Maybe you'll be right twice in a row.
What a concept.
Does that happen on the show? I don't
No. We rarely get it right once. You think we can get it right twice?
Yeah, no, never. But
guys, I might even be wrong because Garfield might sneak in there.
Yeah.
If Garfield opens up a Furiosa, that would be wild.
It'd be really crazy.
I mean, good for Garfield, but like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Guys, if you want to predict your top 5 of the next week, please leave it in the comments below, and if you're right, we'll shout you out on the show. I believe that's all we had for today's show.
Yes. As always, you can find links to the social medias as well as audio versions of the podcast on your podcasting app of choice. And I don't think we have anything big coming out this week. If you haven't already, check out our latest episode review for the latest Doctor Who episode. And thank you all who have been watching and engaging with that content. We'll have some more community polls going on throughout the week. We really like doing those and seeing your responses. And stay tuned for a episode 5 Doctor Who review.
Oh yeah, that'll be coming. That'll be coming on Friday.
I think that the show that'll be at this week.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Also, eventually, I know I said it would happen last week. We're going to get the X-Men 97 full spoiler review, and I might even do my Rebel Moon 2 review. Who knows?
Boy.
I mean, since it's a slow week, I have some time. I might be able to catch up. But yes, thank you guys so much for watching as always, and we'll see you on the next one.